Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you. Can you say with me, Kuble? Yeah. For all of you in YouTube land, Kuble. And for all of you who may be watching in the now or in the future who are in the Khasi hills, with me, Kuble. Welcome to First Unitarian Church at Pittsburgh. It is Sunday, November 12th of 2023, and I am Reverend Dr. Kate Walker. I use the she, her pronouns. I'm honored to serve as the minister of this beloved community. And for those with visual disability, I'm a middle-aged, light-skinned female with light brown hair and a pixie cut. I wear glasses, and today I am wearing what is a blue and black plaid traditional Khasi cover, their dress over a black shirt. You, my beloved, are all welcome here. If you are watching now or in the future, you are welcome. If you are a long-time member that has given dedicated hours of your time and your treasure from your bank account, thank you. Thank you. You are welcome here. If this is your first time here, thank you for your courage and being here with us this morning and choosing to further explore your religious values and your beliefs. And if you are sitting here and you don't really know yet why you're here, that's fine. You're welcome here. Glad to have you. We are a growing community celebrating diversity, and questions are expected, and sometimes we even have answers. And if this is your first time, please, if you're online, check us out on our website or our Facebook page. Get signed up for our newsletter. The form for the newsletter is on the front page of our website, down at the bottom. And if you're here in person, please check in with our visitor guest table, which is in the garden lobby, and be delighted to get you connected with us. We want to know who you are, what you're looking for, but more than anything, let you know that you are welcome here. We are an active community, are we not? Always something going on. It feels like in the last 2 years, it's been, a gradual climb back into full engagement, and here we are. So whether you are seeking healing and connection or joyous celebration, we have all sorts of activities for you. The first thing is I got a note that there's somebody parked out in front with a New York state license plate and that your flashing lights are on. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe a thing in New York. I don't know. So tonight we have the Unity Brass concert at 7 o'clock. It is free. Please come back at 7 o'clock. They are amazing. If you missed it, they were here last Sunday doing some of our worship music. And they are taking donations, but of course there is no financial barrier. Please come back at 7 for this wonderful concert. And next weekend, we have wonderful connections to the Bach Choral Group, and their concerts are next weekend. Please go to their website, just Bach Choral something, yes. Bach Choir Pittsburgh, and you can buy your tickets. I will be there Saturday night. It will be wonderful. And of course, we have the return of the annual Thanksgiving lunch next Sunday following service. And they are selling tickets downstairs during social hour. You are welcome to sign up and reserve a space for you and your family. We want to make sure there are no financial barriers. If you would like to attend and are not able, please just see me. We'll take care of that. We want to make sure everybody's here that wants to be. And they're also looking for some volunteers for all sorts of duties. Ask the people at the table what they still need for your volunteer support. And you guys ready to support something really awesome? Yeah? Cicely had her baby girl. Yeah. For those who don't know, Cicely is our communications director. She is on parental leave, and she is now nursing a beautiful baby girl who came in at 9.7 pounds. Woohoo! Go, Cicely. That was on last Tuesday. Feel free to send cards or notes here to the church, and we'll make sure they get to her. Would I miss something? I don't know. Hasn't been shared yet. I think she's been busy. I want to do a shout out. I like my gratitude. I like to share my gratitude. So I really, because I'm talking about my trip to the Khasi Hills today, my shout out is to Karen Litzinger and the Khasi team, Shelley Ross, Mary Pat Mangato, Carol Washburn, Lois Hurt, and I think honorary member Mary Widener, our artists. Thank you very much. And I'll absolutely, Maureen Porter, thank you. I did know that. I did, and Maureen Porter. So please, this partnership is so important, not just to us, but to them. So please give your support. They have a table downstairs if you want to just go hand out hugs, and I'm going to tell you about the need for Hershey Kisses in a little while. I want to invite you now to take a deep breath with me and arrive. I do this for myself as well as for you, in body and spirit. As we picture ourselves connected to Unitarian Universalists all over the country and the world. As we picture ourselves connected to our friends and family, all those who are worshiping today, in the past, and in the future. We turn now to our chalice lighting. And Erica is filling in for Jen Lehman, who is ill this morning.
Good morning. I will get to a microphone. My name is Chris Rust. I'm the vocal music director here. It's good to see all of you here. Would you please stand as you are able? And I invite you. I'm going to use that. Can you hear me? No, can you hear me? No, can you hear me? This is the, there we go. Yes, excellent. Would you say these words? Come and go with me.
Come and go with me.
Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound.
Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound.
Would you please face the center aisle and find someone across the aisle, find your neighbor, and say those words to them. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. They'll be learning in that land.
They'll be learning in that land.
They'll be dancing.
They'll be dancing.
They'll be singing in that land.
They'll be singing in that land.
Please sing with us. Come and go with me to that land.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. They'll be learning. They'll be learning in that land. They'll be learning in that land. They'll be where I'm bound. They'll be learning in that land. They'll be learning in that land. They'll be learning in that land where I'm bound. They'll be dancing, and move your bodies. They'll be dancing in that land. They'll be dancing in that land. They'll be dancing in that land where I'm bound. They'll be dancing in that land. They'll be dancing in that land. They'll be dancing in that land where I'm bound. They'll be singing. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. That land. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. Thank you. You may be seated.
I love folk tales. They're always so weird. And if you're not from the culture, you really don't necessarily understand always what's going on. You know, they don't tell you what everything means. So I've got a nice complicated one for you today from the Khasi Hills. This is a story about what causes the eclipse. Long time ago, there was a poor couple who had no children, and then finally they had this one daughter. They named her Kanam. Kanam was very generous, also kind of naive, very kind, and her mom was so grateful for her, but so worried that something bad would happen to her, that she wanted to keep her safe in the house, didn't want to let her to go out anywhere. And her father said, no, we have to raise her just like all other children, raise her to be useful. So that's what they did. They raised her just like any other child, and she had chores and responsibilities. And one of Kanam's responsibilities was to go to the well with a pitcher and bring water. One day, when she went to the well, she was carried off by a huge tiger. The tiger was the king of tigers, a king of tigers not royal, but like the biggest of the tigers, and his name was Ukla. And she was terrified, of course, because tigers eat humans. But the funny thing was that when Ukla brought her to his lair, he took a look at her and he said, she's too young and skinny. That's barely a meal. So he decided to wait until she grew up. So he took care of her. Ukla, of course, had access to good meat and things, so she started to live better than she ever had. And she thought, this tiger is my new home. You know, this tiger really cares about me. All the while not knowing that she was basically being raised like a chicken. One day, Ukla looked at Kanam and decided, okay, she's big enough now, she's grown up, I'm ready to eat her, I'm gonna call all my tiger friends and we're gonna have a feast. And there was a little mouse that was eating nearby and overheard Ukla and felt so sad for the maiden. So as soon as Ukla was gone, the little mouse came to Kanam and said, this tiger, he's going to eat you. You have only one day. I know somewhere safe for you to go. Where do I go? Said Kanam. Well, the mouse knew, as everyone did except for her, that there was a magician, a wizard, as it were. His name was Uhinro. Uhinro looked like a giant toad. I don't know if he was actually a giant toad, but that's what he looked like. And he was so powerful, everybody was afraid of him, and everybody paid him money, you know, for protection. So, Uhinro was not somebody you really wanted to know, but Kanam really had no choice. So the mouse told her to go to find Uhinro, and she did. And Uhinro thought, I have never liked Ukla. This is a perfect chance for me to get back at my rival, the tiger. So he said, sure, I'll keep you safe. And he gave her a magical cloak that when she put it on, made her look into a giant, slimy, ugly toad, just like him. And he warned her never to take it off, because if she took it off, she would be caught and something bad would happen. Anyway, he convinced her never to take it off. So she wandered around in this cloak. And Ukla, when his friends came and saw that there was no human there to eat for this feast that he had been bragging about forever, decided that they were not going to let this ruin their feast, and Ukla became the meal. Meanwhile, the little mouse realized that she'd made a mistake. Uhinro was not somebody to be trusted, and he had his own designs for Kanam. He wanted to use her as a slave. He just had her do everything for them. And she felt very bad for putting her in that situation. So she told her, Kanam, you're not safe down here in this world. Everybody here is so greedy and cruel. I know where you'll really be safe. Come with me. So Kanam followed the little mouse. She took her to the magic tree that was at the center of the jungle. And she said, speak these words, grow, tree, grow, reach to the sky, grow and expand. And she did. And the tree grew and grew and grew and grew until its branches swept the blue sky. She climbed up the branches, and the mouse said, good luck in the blue realm. Maybe they'll be kinder to you there. Now, Kanam was still wearing her toad cloak, and she really looked hideous. Not all toads looked hideous, but she looked hideous. And when she got there into the blue realm, everyone lived in palaces and crystal and gold, and it was so beautiful. And then there was this hideous toad that when people saw reminded them of Uhinra and thought she must be up to no good. So nobody would give her a place to stay, and nobody was kind to her. Finally, Khasi, who was the sun, took pity on the toad and said, you can live in an outhouse in the back of her palace. So she gave her shelter, thinking that this was just some wandering toad. Khasi is the sun, and she was very gracious, and of course she was the most respected in that realm. So Kanam was safe. She looked like a horrible toad, and she didn't have any friends, but she was safe. One day, Khasi's son stumbled onto the toad and discovered that she took off her cloak when she was sleeping. And he thought, wow, that's a girl. Wow. He chatted with her, and Kanam was so happy to have somebody to talk to. And he went back and he told his mother, Mom, there's a girl living in the back of your house. His mom said, well, I know that there's a toad back there, and I'm not sure what you mean. And he said, no, she's a girl, and I kind of want to marry her, and can we bring her inside, please? Now, Khasi was very wise, and she knew that her son was not, and she thought, whatever this thing is, whatever this magic is that has this girl looking like a toad, or my son thinking she's a girl, whatever it is bad news. So she said, you need to wait until I figure this out. She snuck out and observed for herself one night that Kanam took the cloak off, and she was indeed a regular girl. And Khasi still thought that it was too soon for her son to get married, but she did bring Kanam inside after she stole the cloak and burned it to ash. And Kanam was finally happy for the first time in a long time. But Uhinro knew as soon as his cloak, his magic item, had been destroyed, and he came up and he started a fight with Khasi. Now, he didn't know what he was in for. He was a bully, and he was used to just talking people down. But Khasi was like, I'm going to fight for this girl, and you just bring it on. So they fought and they fought. And of course, in the sky, what people saw was the sun being covered by something black. And they were worried because they all loved Khasi, and they thought, "Oh, Hinro, oh my goodness, he's so powerful." And they cried and they wailed and they beat their chests so loud and so hard that Hinro thought, "Oh my goodness, she has a hidden army that's coming to get me." And he ran away. And so, because he's a bully, and of course it was actually pretty easy to scare him. So, thanks to the humans and their big noise, this didn't happen again for a very, very long time, but periodically, every once in a while, Hinro goes and he tries to have that fight again with Khasi, and that's why people come out and they drum and they beat their chests, and they drum to scare him whenever there's an eclipse. And they've noticed that there tends to be an eclipse when somebody famous or of great importance might be about to die, because Hinro is hoping that they'll be distracted and won't remember to drum and come and be this army. So that's why there's an eclipse in the Khasi Hills. Nice long story about that. Chris is going to come up and he's going to teach us our new leaving song for the children. And so I invite the children to stay and learn it really quick before we leave.
Thank you, Erica, and I'm going to invite the choir to come up and help with this. And we're fortunate today to have people from the South Hills Church. Yes, yesterday at the cluster gathering, we had people from several other of the local churches, but we are glad that some of our neighbors were able to come and join us today. Our song is "The Spirit is Moving." Can you say those words? The Spirit. And I'll have to say, you guys did such a great job earlier when we were singing about dancing, moving your body. So this is going to be a song for you to sing as you get up and exit. It sounds like this. The Spirit is moving. The Spirit is moving. The Spirit is moving, moving, moving. The Spirit is moving, moving, moving. The Spirit is moving. Moving in us. So, the Spirit is moving, moving in us. Sing that. The Spirit is moving, moving in us. So now I invite you to let these words accompany you on your trip to your classes. And Mary Pratt, director from South Hills, is going to lead the choir in singing this with you.
The Spirit is moving, moving, moving. The Spirit is moving, moving in us. The Spirit is moving, moving, moving. The Spirit is moving, moving in us. The Spirit is moving, moving, moving. The Spirit is moving, moving.
I meant to issue both an apology and an explanation. You don't have paper orders of service this morning, not because I'm trying to force you into using a QR code. Honestly, I took them home so I could fold them, and that's where they are, unfolded. But that being said, you can kind of relax and just let whatever happens, happens, or doesn't happen. So in a moment, I'm going to invite the ushers forward for your generosity of financial gifts, but I want to draw your attention to an important fundraising activity that this church is sponsoring. It's an international effort that was really done, a lot of work by Karen and by Shelley to raise funds for the Khasi school, for the Annie Margaret Barr School, because during the dry season, they run out of water for at least 2 months. So they desperately need a water tank in the back of the school where they can collect water during the rainy season. And so that launch is kicked off. It's on Faithify. You can find the link in the church newsletter. You can find it on our website. You can find it on our Facebook page. I suspect if you really push it, Karen can tell you exactly what I don't know what you're pointing to. So, yes, they don't have an order of service. If you had an order of service, those on YouTube, you have an order of service. I did remember to do that part. So those on YouTube have an order of service, but there's lots of ways to get to the Faithify campaign. And as of 8 o'clock this morning, there was $7,763. We need $19,500. We need $19,500. So by the end of today, we will achieve our goal because of you, right? How many, even $50, $20, whatever $5,000, we need it, we welcome it, absolutely. So we invite your generosity also, and this was a one-time gift, this is a one-time gift, and many of our dedicated Khasi Hill people who give every year for the teachers' salaries have already given again. So they've raised the bar, okay, for the rest of us. Yeah, they've raised the bar, so fabulous. So you can give to this church and our operating fund, which helps keep the building lights on most days, and with the choir and staff and all of us in the heat. And please give generously. The ushers will be coming forward. You can text. The information is in the order of service you don't have. Yes, if you did the QR code, you've got all that, but you can text by giving to 412-435-1050. And we'll welcome that. We take your cash, we take your checks. We will be sharing everything this month with our Share the Plate program, which is the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, an international organization doing incredible work all over the world. I invite the ushers as we receive the offering.
left to do. You stand, watch the Lord see you through. Oh, after you've done all you can, you stand and be sure God has a purpose. Yes, God has a plan. Tell you to stand and endure. God has a purpose. Yes, God has a plan. Tell me when you've done all you can. Yeah. And you feel like you can't make it through. You just stand, Don't you dare give up. Hold on. Hold on. You can make it through your storms, through the storm, through the rain, through the sunshine, and through the pain. After you've done all you can, after you've gone through the hurt, after you've done all you can, oh, after you've gone through the storm, you prayed and you cried. Oh, after you've gone through the storm, after you've done all you can. Oh, I feel that song. You just stand.
Makes you want to stand. As we are able in body and spirit, makes us want to stand. Oh, my beloved, we have so many joys in our lives and we have so many sorrows. Many places where our hearts are feeling so much. And it feels like our hearts are going to break sometimes, doesn't it? Just feels like our hearts are going to break. I brought back gifts for this community from the Khasi people. I've put them here. There is tea and there's traditional Khasi spices of ginger and black pepper. And I want to tell you about that tree that you all helped make. It was revealed during my speech, during this commemoration, and all your leaves were firmly attached. Thank you, Mary. And I gave them blank leaves for them to color in and attach to the tree. Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. And they also showed the video that your Khasi team put together of you all saying who you are and Kublai. And they played that. They liked it so much that they played it during the whole commemoration. So your hearts are there. Your hearts are there. I want to also extend my gratitude and all of our gratitude to Mary Redford for being part of our Pittsburgh cluster team and putting on yesterday's wonderful meeting down at the South Hills Church, and the choir and Chris. Thank you very much. And the Reverend over there on the piano who gets our heart spinning with joy. Thank you. Thank you. Please join me with our hearts and our souls in a few moments of quiet meditation and personal prayer. Spirit of life, fill our hearts with your love. Help us heal. Help us mend our broken hearts and our broken bodies and our broken promises and our broken dreams. There are too many bodies lying in the ground with war and hatred and fear. Our prayers seem so inadequate. Our prayers and our love and our brokenness does not fill the void. For all the fear and the anguish that is going on in Palestine and Israel now, we feel such brokenness and our own fear. We know this is a time to cry, a time to lament, a time to speak and be heard, a time to pray, and sometimes just be silent and witness. Our prayers do not forget Ukraine and the people who are defending their homeland. And this weekend, my beloved, we also hold up our veterans, honoring those who felt and heard the call to be a part of our military services and returned with both their brokenness and with their wholeness, with their joy and their sorrow. We honor them in their service. Our gratitude and our love, our patience, our resilience, our groundedness as Unitarian Universalists. Let us be guided when the night seems too dark by the light of our chalice and our faith. Blessed be, and amen.
And your people
Today's reading is We Meet on Holy Ground by Reverend Richard Gilbert. We meet on holy ground, brought into being as life encounters life, as personal histories merge into the communal story, as we take on the pride and pain of our companions, as separate selves become community. How desperate is our need for one another, our silent beckoning to our neighbors, our invitations to share life and death together, our welcome into the lives of those we meet, and their welcome into our own. May our souls capture this treasured time. May our spirits celebrate our meeting in this time and in this space, for we meet on holy ground.
I have so many stories from my 1 week on the other side of the planet. I will say that 1 week was too short, really too short. And 16 hours in a tin can at 40,000 feet is not natural. Just not natural. I invite you to picture Tuesday morning of October 24th. And we're outside of the school grounds in northeastern India in the state of Meghalaya of the Annie Margaret Barr School. It's cloudy, there's a slight chill in the air, little wind. Everyone is praying that there's no rain. It's about 10:45 in the morning. The events are meant to begin at 11, and already seated were about 300 children of all ages in their blue uniforms, and they're sitting in red plastic chairs. They were ready for what was supposed to be a maybe 2.25 hour event. And I wanted you to know that there was no pharmaceutical medicine involved or personal devices that were drugging them into submission. Imagine you or your children or grandchildren sitting there quietly, patiently. Their bodies were containing love and patience and discipline and respect and humility, and like all other children, a desire to laugh and to sing and to dance. The event was commemorating Annie Margaret Barr, a British Unitarian minister who was born in 1899 and then died in 1973. She had heard about the great need in India at some point during her first settlement as a minister, the cause of Indian freedom. And she had heard about the Unitarians that were in the state of Meghalaya. And after a 4-year battle of battling sexism, she finally got an invitation to go to Calcutta to teach. And as soon as she arrived, she connected with her sister, who was already there working with Gandhi. And she got an early introduction then to Gandhi, and Gandhi told her, keep out of jail, find some constructive work to do, don't get mixed up in politics. Go to the villages, he said. What else is worth doing in comparison with serving those who need you most? That was her charge from Gandhi. In 1934, she finally took a vacation from her teaching in Calcutta and traveled up to the Khasi hills of Meghalaya. And like I did, she fell in love with the people and the land. There were many delays, but she was determined that this is her new calling, her new post. And she finally was able to return in 1938 as the representative of the British General Assembly of Unitarians and Free Christian Churches, and she dug into her new home. Kong Bar, as she is known, Kong is a term for grandmother or auntie. Usually it's with a first name, but they had trouble with Annie Margaret, so they just went with Bar. This is what Kong Bar had to say. As I met the same faithful few in the little churches, separated many of them by 18 to 20 miles from their nearest neighbor. And all I see are the rival churches with their schools and paid workers. Still, the wonders grow that this little courageous movement should have survived at all. That it has done so is largely due to the staunchness of those who came in during the time of the founder. But that generation is rapidly dying out. The generation of those who knew will arise. Something else must be put in the place of the early youthful enthusiasm. I'm not sure what something else will be, but I feel it will come through education. She recognized that the survival of the Unitarians was at stake in the Khasi Hills. She closely then followed the pattern set by Gandhi in his experiential teaching method that was started at his ashram in Sevagram, a teaching method that was holistic in its nature and self-sufficient and about cooperation. And it wasn't just education, it was about food and clothing. And it's not about production and commerce, but it's about a balanced life that includes the arts and music, where most importantly, where all religions are welcome, where everyone is respected equally, no matter their class or their stature. This is what Kangbar took from Gandhi and began her school with. She started initially in Shillong, the capital of Meghalaya, but that did not survive for various reasons. And she was encouraged by the Unitarians there to move out to Karang, into the more rural area. And she did that in the 1950s. It started, of course, in her home, which was built for her. And then when she moved, they built another home for her, because that's what you do for your teachers. And she also began, you should know, a health center. And then later in the 2000s, the people began an orphanage under her name. But Kangbar, of course, began with the midwives. Those are the ones she chose first, and then the teachers. And she began to expand. She had a rigorous daily schedule, up at 4 a.m. for everyone to do their chores. Boys milking cows, girls building fires for the tea. They had morning prayers and song. Classes began at 8 a.m. sharp, and they sat on stools in her kitchen. They had more necessities of life later in the afternoon, where they started making sure the fire is going for cooking and preparing vegetables, sweeping and clothing and preparing lunch, eggs from the hens and working the gardens. All of that was a priority, including teaching the world's religions: Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, Confucian, Taoist, Sufi, Christianity, and then bed by 8 p.m. They learned to incorporate everything into their daily lives. If they went and got eggs, they counted the eggs and they were marked in the book. They learned how to read a thermometer and track it with the weather. If they learned how to read a rain gauge and then recorded the results. Everything that they did was recorded in part of their teaching and reflection. It was experiential, it was practical, it was joyful, balanced by discipline and punctuality, no waste, and full responsibility. It was a full body, full spirit experience. Commitment to the world's religions, commitment to walking and swimming and dancing and singing on Saturday nights. Students from that school have graduated and gone on to become midwives and teachers and lawyers and judges, school administrators and nurses. And then Kangbar made sure that if they wanted to go into college, that she would help pay their application fees. She would make sure they got their interviews, make sure that they had no barriers to continuing in their education. At the commemoration on that October 24th, there was an official from the Meghalaya government, and he said there was something special about this school, still present after all these years. And he gets invited to a lot of school events, but he said this one was special. It has helped raise generations of children to a higher class and quite possibly saved the Unitarians. One former student said, "I always dream about her, about that time. Every week I had a dream that she came to meet me. She didn't talk. She was just there. Well, many have thought that Kangbar must have been lonely while she was there, having given up her country and her fellow Brits, but she heartily disagreed. She loved the quiet nights in the village, she wrote, the occasional mooing of a cow, the flutter of a bird's wing, and she was surrounded by children. And she wrote, children have been my salvation, each an individuality to be respected, developed, and loved, each with his or her own special gifts, defects, needs, potentialities. No, I have never had time to be lonely. So the children, right? We're there for the children. The children were sitting there still in their red plastic chairs and their blue uniforms while adults kept talking. They were there in their brilliant futures, and the program was now going on over 4 hours. I was sitting there too. Teachers gently would herd them off for bathroom breaks or to make sure that they got fed. Some children were recognized during the commemoration, for they had walkathons and swimathons to honor Kangbar. And they had a children's choir. It was combined from both the orphanage and from the school. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And they had a small trio of musicians who played an original song that they created for this event. And then they had a play. And somebody explained the storyline to me for the play. And I have to say, it was I asked afterward, is this typical type storyline? And they said, oh, yes. And it was clearly meant to scare girls into never having unprotected sex. And that boys can be dopes. And to listen to one's parents at all costs. And after this long, long program, there had to be lots of photographs, big group photographs, and I suddenly became a rock star. Everybody wanted a selfie with me, and I didn't want to do 400 selfies. I wanted to go see the children who burst out of their chairs finally after being released, and they were now just enjoying their freedom and their food, and I had 5 pounds of Hershey Kisses from you to deliver. So I grabbed my bags, I broke out of the scrum of parents and teachers wanting their selfies, and I went and found the children. And you can picture this image of myself. I'm a white Western woman, a little taller than the average Khasi. I'm wearing a very beautiful silk traditional Khasi outfit that Nangori's wife Bari got me all dressed up in. Thank you very much, Bari. And I was holding out my hand with Hershey Kisses in it. I may have looked like Annie Margaret Parr, a few said. And I was just saying, chocolate? And I was reassured that they knew that word, chocolate. But they're shy children. They really are. They're humble, they're joyful, but they've been trained not to take. And as each little group that I found on the grounds, one eventually would be brave, and they would break into a smile and nod their head. And they would not take the candy from me. I had to put it into their little hand. Again and again and again, I felt that moment of contact with those children, and that for me was a moment of God. It was a sacred communion from us to them. And I felt Annie Margaret Barr's hands with mine as I gave out 5 pounds of Hershey Kisses. And every once in a while, I would feel my dress, a little tug, and I'd look down, and there's a hand, and another eager one, and I said, "Did you not get one?" And they shook their head, and word had gotten out that lady had chocolate. And every once in a while, I saw they actually already had one in their hand. They just wanted another one. The Khasi people, the Khasi Unitarian people are dedicated to cultivating harmony. It's the original tribal understanding of God is that as a mother, father, creative, nurturing, ever-present force of love in the world, and that's what I found amongst those children and the teachers and the parents and the staff. The next day, poor Nongroy, who was so tired he was giddy, he took me on a day trip along with his daughter and one of the students out to south of Shillong to an area called Cherrapunji. Cherrapunji is the wettest place on earth. That's what they say. I think that's correct. The wettest place on earth. And I stood on the edge of the Himalayan mountains and the very last steps looking out on the rice fields of Bangladesh, and I felt this incredible meeting of geological history and that continental clash that created that point in time. And I thought about in the 21st century, we have a continental clash of world religions, each claiming superiority, but none truly winning. And we crawled through a limestone cave, and I felt the weight of history and the call to light, to the future. And I particularly felt that weight in that call to the future because I was there representing clergy, Western clergy, more importantly, Western women clergy. The Khasi people are a tribal people, and they're matriarchal, which means that the land is passed through the women. But they are still strong patriarchal customs, including the invisibility of women who cook and clean and manage the children. And the invisibility of women in their important role is bound to the founder of Unitarianism in the Khasi Hills, Hajam Kishore Singh, who was married and had children. But in none of the materials and research I did his wife have a name, nor his children except for one. But on last Thursday, I was able to attend a webinar that was presented by a group of international Unitarians, specifically about the histories of Unitarian women. And my new friend, Alicia Rani, who I sat next to at the commemoration, she's a PhD student in Meghalaya, and she presented the story of Singh's wife. And for the first time, we all knew her name. Her name. The story was beautiful about Farain Bun Rani, the first Khasi Unitarian woman in the Khasi Hills. Farain Bun was 15 years old in an arranged marriage to Singh, and she became that first Unitarian woman, and she dedicated her life to hospitality and generosity, and story after story was shared about her acts of generosity, which included one of when she went to the store and got 2 of everything one day and just gave the second item to her neighbor who was in need. And this was an example of what she did almost every day while she was having 12 children. Unfortunately, many of those children died, including Farain Bun, who died when she was just 44 years old from typhoid. She is the mother of Unitarianism in the Khasi Hills. And I want to make sure that you understand something that I really understood for the first time. The story of the women as the caretaker there. They're the warrior of the home and of the children, but this is not a narrow story of just a homemaker. The women of the Khasi people, the women of the Unitarian Khasi people, have a commitment to caring for the stranger and friend alike. No barriers, no divisiveness based on faith and age or gender or place of birth. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is fed and given tea. This is a living faith, a living commitment. And we heard those in the words of Richard Gilbert in our song, in our spoken word, about how desperate we are and how much we need one another. This was the other place that I met God, in the homes, in the food, in the smiles, in the acceptance and patience and love. In process theology, God is a verb, a verb. God is held in the space of the moment in the divine eros. urging the world into new heights of enjoyment. The most we can do is provide the optimum environment, which heightens the possibility that enjoyment will be achieved. This is process theology, and I think it's fabulous. And this is what the Khasi Unitarians do at the Annie Margaret Barr School, dedicated to the probability of the enjoyment of life will be enhanced through moment-to-moment acts of the holy and the divine. One Hershey kiss at a time. One meal at a time. So my beloved, I'm hoping that a year from now, they will be having water and tea year-round because of our help. So I charge you to please give generously. Please give generously to this really, really important need. And I share with you one of the statements that is written in a lot of Khasi Unitarian homes and in their churches. And it's a statement that says, tu nangroi, which means progress onwards. Progress onwards. That only happens with friends and community and with the children. With the children. The source of our salvation, patiently waiting for adults to stop talking. They are ever humble, ever shy, eager to learn, and they love to sing and dance. And I will tell you, the after party of that long, long day, and the day before when they set everything up, was one of the most amazing dance celebrations I have ever seen. They blasted the music, and the younger kids had gone home, but the older ones were there as the sun was setting, and they were dancing in this collective mob, and they knew all the words to their songs, and they were gloriously happy, having been released from their red chairs. Tenangroi, my beloved, blessed be and amen. Thank you for sending me there. I invite you we're going to do Spirit of Life, and Chris is going to introduce it. Excellent.
Can you hear me? Yes, good. So, longtime member of First Unitarian, Lois Hurt, went to Khasi Hills. How many years ago, Lois?
2018.
Okay, so 5 years ago. And she is going to sing the familiar song, Spirit of Life, in the Khasi language. And I think most of you may be familiar with the English words. It ends, Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. And so I would like to ask that you sing that phrase in Khasi with us and with Lois. Those words are Vanshanya, 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 Vanshanya. Okay, be ready. I'll tell you when to sing.
Following this service, I invite you you're welcome to come up and see the 50th anniversary commemoration book, which we sent messages to, and those are published in theirs. There's 3 copies. I gave them the plaque that we sent them. They love plaques. And I got a plaque, too. And each of the plaques that they gave to the speakers has a different thing. It's personalized. So come see, come see. I invite you to bring your voices together as we extinguish the flame, and somebody who's close by could actually do that, please. The words are in your heart and in your non-existent order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go forth into this world, my beloved. Go forth into this world and look for the children. For there lies our future. For there lies our future. May they be supported in all the ways possible throughout the world. Denangroi, Denangroi, blessed be.
As you are able for our postlude, and move your bodies with us.
Spending your seating with us. That was really nice.